Shalom, shalom. I just want to talk on something real quick. Good leaders in Israel have been known to be wrong. You know, they have their flaws and stuff like that, but yet I guess it's always that we get in this mindset that because they're in the position of leadership that we view them as good, that they don't make mistakes. And that is a problem that the mistakes get pointed out. I just got through looking at a video and I recognize that a lot of teachers in this Israel walk are still teaching that Yahusha and Yahuwah are the same. They're not. How do you stand on the right hand of the Father? Why does the Son pray to the Father? You know, the Son is directions towards the destination. The Son is actually setting in the place of proxy. The first Adam failed, and so there's a second Adam. But that ain't my focus, though. That ain't my main focus. I just want to do a little talking. So let's look at this. When Moshe went up into the mountains to talk with Yah, Aaron was left to lead the people. But the people said, present to us a deity. So he presented to them a golden calf. Aaron is who the Levites come through. Moshe is a Levite too, but the lineage of the Levites that we see in lead or in ministry are through Aaron. Aaron didn't die that day. He did something wrong, and yet he lived on from that moment and was able to still walk as the high priest. Move forward. He got judged, but look at Moshe. Moshe was told one time to smote the rock, which he did in obedience to Yah and brought forth water to the people. But a time later, when he was told to just speak to the rock, he had hostility towards the people. And what did he do? He hit the rock. And the Most High said, you will not be making it into the promised land. This was a righteous and good man, yet he was openly rebuked by Yah because he did not get to make it into the promised land. Move forward. There's this desire of Israel to have a king. Now, the people chose Shaul. Shaul was the people's person, and so he favored the people and he did what the people wanted. And so, nah, he couldn't hold on to the kingdom. So Yah allowed him, to sit in that spot, though he kept people pleasing. So Yah was raising up his own man with his own heart, Dawid. Now, Dawid was a good leader. But Dawid, in getting lax later in life, he at home when his people were out to war. He's standing in his window looking down and he sees Uriah's wife, Bathsheba. She was in the bath. Sheba was in the bath. Bathsheba. And he called for her. He took this woman and lay with her, another man's wife. So he broke Torah. He committed adultery because this woman was already married. This man also set that husband, trying to get that husband to lay with her. And when he wouldn't, he put him to the fiercest part of the battle for him to die. And then everybody pulled away from him. So he set him up for an assassination. He died. And then he was able to claim Bathsheba, who was pregnant with his child. But Yah said, that child won't live. He won't live. But how did he get called out? the prophet Nathan called him out. He did it in a way with a parable to let him know, you taking something that did not belong to you. Dawid, being that he had the heart of Yah, he repented to Shuvah. He turned back to the Torah. But this did not come without some open dysfunction in his house. Now, one of his sons raped one of his daughters. All this stuff, another one challenged him for his throne. He went through a whole lot openly to the people. This good and great leader. You can be a good leader, a great leader, but you still have to be able to be held accountable. And, this acting like leaders, don't touch the anointed. I agree. You should not touch the anointed in a way that you are, I guess, persecuting them when they're doing right. But when they're doing wrong, you're supposed to be able to call them out. You're supposed to say something to them. Even if it's done in a way that's not disrespectful, I guess. Nathan, he treaded lightly because he didn't want to get killed by the king. The king had already killed one of his top men, so he like, nah, I don't want to get killed here. But he held him accountable and called him out. You see even after that, unrighteous kings getting called out by prophets over and over. But the king is the top position, the leader. People have a problem modernly with leaders being questioned. And where is that in the Bible that there's a problem? People keep saying, touch not thy anointed. If you're a king, you're anointed. You got raised up to that position. But hold on, what was happening with Ahab? He was constantly being told that he was in error by Elijah. Huh? We have had many kings that had to, be corrected and let me know what you're doing ain't right. And then, like I say, Dawid was righteous. So you're going to have some that even doing what's right most of the time slip up. And when they slip up, they're not outside of the law where the law doesn't stand for them. These are people who are supposed to know the law and uphold the law, not just for the people, but also for themselves. When you look at Malachi, Malachi 3 has been used so many times to beat the people up and tell them that they're robbing the Most High and not giving him what's his due. But if you go back to Malachi 2 and even at the beginning of Malachi 3, you see that that whole section is dealing with the Levites. It's not dealing with the people. It's the Levites that was doing something wrong. It was the leadership that was doing something wrong. When you know better, you should do better. And who has the greater responsibility of knowing other than the leaders? Going all the way back to the garden, the one who got the command of leaving alone that tree was Adam, and he was supposed to pass that on to Havah or Eve. The greater responsibility was on him. That woman had already eaten. Nothing happened until that man took a bite. And if you read it slowly, you see that that man was with her when she ate. That man was with her when she was even being talked to about eating. He had a responsibility to shut them both down, but he didn't take that responsibility. Yes, the woman was addressed after it and got dealt with, but the man had a greater responsibility and was held more culpable for the situation. Woman got addressed. Even the Nahash got addressed. But that man, the leader, had a greater responsibility. We're told many times as fathers to chasten our sons, but it also tells us that we should not cause our children to rebel against us in how we treat them. Mistreating them could cause them to come to wrath towards us. We have a responsibility as leaders. I get it. Many people don't recognize me as a leader in Israel. I was on a part of the Moray Round Table at a time. No longer a part of that. Did no sin or anything that made me be removed, but I'm not a part of that. So of course, I'm viewed as one standalone. But if you look at many of the prophets of old, they had to stand alone because the majority did not want to hear what had to be said from thus says Yahuwah. Micaiah is one of my favorite prophets. And when he spoke to Ahab and told him, if you go into this battle, you're going to die, over 400 prophets had told him different, that he would come out victorious. And one of those prophets smacked Micaiah for what he had to say because he spoke out against the king and against the other prophets. Ain't nobody done physically smack me, but I get smacked on social media. I get smacked in how people deal with me on a regular. I've been ostracized. And people say, man, you're always bringing this up. And it's like, okay, I hear you. You say, I need to heal from it. That's a trauma. But the problem is, I believe that Yah allowed me to go through that because not just for me, because there are other people going through this. And constantly you see people speak out and then they're silenced. They're told, take that down. Take that down. They they're crying out loud, even if using social media, and they're take it down. But you don't see any resolution. You don't see any addressing the leader that hurt them. Something is wrong with Israel because this is the same type of stuff that went on in Christianity. Y'all left Christianity and acknowledged that it's a false teaching or it had it wrong. But now you're doing the same exact things in this Hebrew walk. Maybe it ain't the faith system. Maybe it's the people. Y'all have made idols of men and don't want to hold men accountable. But best believe Yah's going to hold you accountable. It may not have happened to you. You may not have to deal with these matters, but again, you're going to get yours if you don't step away from that or if you don't speak the truth towards it. Moses was right there when Aaron did what he did, and he covered Aaron. That's why Aaron didn't get judged right then. But then you see, down the line, Moses also did not get to walk into the promised land. Not saying that he ain't in the kingdom, not saying that, but that natural promised land, he didn't get to be a part of it because he didn't honor Yah. He didn't obey. Many of y'all aren't honoring Yah in your walk. I'm not calling y'all sinners or transgressors, to put you in, away from the kingdom. But I'm saying you see what's happening to other folks and you're silent, acting as if it can't happen to you. One of these people that was basically telling me to be silent, it ended up happening to them and they vocalized afterwards and they took it down. But it was like, people was like, well, you joining that. And I'm like, not really. I'm not joining, but it's like people don't empathize with you until they go through what you go through. When I went through divorce, people say, oh, get over it. Then a lot of them went through divorce and they seen how destructive it is. It's destructive to allow stuff to happen in darkness and not bring light to it. What's going on right now is no different to me than when you have a molester in the family. You have somebody that's taking advantage of the weak. A leader taking advantage of the weak has been a problem in Israel. So again, when it came to that Malachi, they was taking advantage of them with the tithes and offering. They were supposed to be the ones stepping in and interceding for the people, but yet they were being greedy. Right now, some people that should be interceding for the people, maybe not with the tithes, but it's other matters. Polygyny is one thing that I be talking about that people get mad about. and how righteous it is, even though I'm not a practicer of it. But you speak against it, so you're speaking against the 12 tribes, which were a product of polygyny. Many of them behind closed doors will acknowledge that these relationships, this is a biblical marriage, but yet you'll push people out of your community if they seek to practice that. You'll ostracize people if they seek to have that type of marriage. Rather than give them guidance and direction on how to, you'll basically say you can't. And thus, you're basically taking the role of being their king, being their deity. You're going from being a hireling and trying to take the role of the shepherd, and you're hired help. It's not right. That's not righteous. But again, I am a leader. I may not have to take on the title Moray no more, even though it was given to me. So it's never left. I'm gonna keep teaching even without the title. And so many people want to son me and little boy me. You know, people that want me to acknowledge them as elders, and I've been in this longer than them. I'm their peer. I'm actually older than them in biological age, but they want me to sit beneath them. They need to check their hearts because all I want to do is be their peer. It's not like they know more than me. They may have more people like them than me, but this is not a marketing plan or whatever. You know, it's not about a popularity contest, but that's what some people want it to be. They want the most popular person in front of them and not the person that's going to chasten them, correct them, and tell them the truth. I don't know. Brit Hadashah, as well as in the Tanakh, it says, he chastens. So he corrects those he loves. So when I correct you, it's not because I'm trying to be better than you, not because I'm trying to lord over you. It's because I love you. And I've tried to check and correct some leaders on the side, but they told me what I had to say was irrelevant because who am I to speak to them? I'm nobody to them. Respect a person matters too much in Israel. It's mattered too much with people of melanin skin. It mattered too much in Christianity. And you see it happening now. When I started off in this walk as an Israelite, recognizing my culture, it was a lot of men. But now I see there's a lot of husbandless women. A lot more women, husbandless women. And they're looking to be covered. And you got people in assemblies or leaders of assemblies that's saying they're covering, but you don't see them taking care of none of the finances. You don't. They're playing husband, but not being husband, and that's a shame when there are viable husbands out there. But of course, there are single husbands out there for monogamy, but they definitely ain't finna send them towards a righteous man in polygyny. That's sad because these women really do need to be covered, but they're lightweight covered, I guess, because somebody is placating them, appeasing them, you know, catering to them, rather than chastening and being truthful. Strong men are being pushed out because, for one, we all supposed to be in a peer relationship. You're going to have some level of hierarchy, but the egos come in because when somebody feels threatened, back in Christianity, I've seen so many times when somebody got up and spoke a good word, what the lead person had to get up and speak again because you got to know that I'm the leader. That's even happening right now in Israel, that people are seeing people that could possibly usurp them. The person not even looking to do that, but they got to make sure that I'm in control. But Abba Yah, I thank you for this day, this ability to speak to your people, and may some benefit come off of this. You got some good leaders out there, but that don't mean that they're not going to have some missteps. And may they be able to be willing to be open to correction and chastening to the love of Yah through his other servants, those that they view as irrelevant, those that they don't see as their level, because even those that are around can see. Moshe was able to hear from Jethro, a Midian priest, his father-in-law. I don't like that father-in-law, but his father, his other father. May we be able to hear from other men. May we even be able to hear from the women. Maybe even hear from the children. When what is being said is righteous, we should be even hear from a donkey. And I thank you that I am open to hear from anyone. Will hear your voice, Yah. May others follow suit and be able to hear your voice. Yada Yahuwah. Hallelujah. Yada Yahuwah. Shankwil Yah One Vision Ministry.